after this game, there was some additional exciting news announced the following morning. Derek, I think you maybe should take this one. What was the exciting follow-up to our first game loss?
Yeah, very exciting. Grubauer had a poor start, a poor first game. He let in more goals than expected, so that's obviously bad. And then the next day, seeing that Joey Daccord got a 5-year, 5 million AAV deal, um, to basically ensure that he's going to be the next guy and that Grubauer is on his way out. Um, yeah, I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on this deal a little bit if you're willing to entertain me.
I'll start because I'm maybe like the least informed financially speaking, we'll say. Like I'm very surface level. I'm the green guy of the group, just coming in and figuring all this stuff out. I thought it was pretty exciting. Like I know there's lots of anti-Gru rhetoric on the internet, and we'll get to that in a little bit as well, tease for later. But just locking Joey down is exciting. I know there's lots of talk about being kind of premature, maybe shoveling out that much money for him after having one hot season and seeing if he can replicate that. But I don't know. I thought it was a nice upturn and some exciting news after kind of a downer day the night before.
Surprise to anybody, I'm a big Joey fan. I'm not a Gru hater by any means. I'm actually a big Gru fan as well. But I'm excited to have Joey long term. I think it's interesting they did it before he had a second season to sort of prove himself, because last season obviously played really well. And I know maybe this is a surprise just because I'm really pro Joey, but I do think it's a little bit of a shock that they did it so quickly. But I also think, it's instills confidence in him to really perform well again this season. And I think that speaks volumes. I want Joey here long term, so I was thrilled by it. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the goalies this season. I don't know. I have from 3 games. I really can't even give what's up and what's down at this point because it's just too small of a sample size. But I think it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of shake out 1A, 1B, or maybe just a really true 50-50 tandem.
I love the deal. I'm not going to lie, I didn't expect it to show up the first game, but right at the morning after the first game, that was the last thing I expected. But I feel like the contract's fair. May have been a little bit too much money. Like I'm going to say that. I was kind of thinking maybe a $4.5 million deal, but that's something that we can dissect throughout the season. But I also like to preface, I'm not a Grubauer hater. I am just a contract critique. So I really review contracts, and if they play to that ability, then I have no problem. But if it's bad, then I'm going to critique you. Anyways, I think it really cements the fact that Joey's going to be the goaltender of the future for the Kraken. But it's kind of going to be really interesting. I think it was done a little early. There's still a lot of hockey to be played this season. And if he has a season like he did last, then it's a home run. If he's somewhere in the middle, it might be, paying him a little bit too much than what we should be paying him. And if he has a terrible year, then I think there's going to be a lot of angry people. But that's something that I think we're going to be breaking down a little bit further on with how Ron Francis has handled the contract situation.
I agree with a lot of the points that you guys all brought up. I think if Joey is a middle of the pack goalie under this contract, I don't think it'll be much different than, paying Grubauer 5.9 million a year and him being middle of the pack, or even worse some years. As far as the contract goes, I think that, Grubauer, he was like a Vezina finalist before we gave him the contract, right? Joey, like everyone here has already said, on the premature side, really doesn't have that large of a track record at all. So it is curious to me that it's such, like, there's so much term, I guess, is what I was kind of confused about at such a high price. But with the cap going up and stuff, I don't know. But I do think it solidifies that Grubauer is out, probably. I think it'll be interesting to see if Grubauer absolutely balls out this year, what that's going to look like. Maybe it's like, I guess, a trade where we could get like a lot of value out of it. I don't know. Maybe if he balls out, but yeah, if not, then he's probably just dipping. So
Uh,
it's sad.
I'm just going to interject. There's 31 other GMs in the NHL. Not one of those GMs is looking at Grubauer's $5.9 million contract, looks at his stat line that he's been with the Kraken since he signed it, and says, I want him. And that's that's not me being a Grubauer hater. Like that's purely on statistics. Like he hasn't registered a save percentage above 900 since he's joined the Kraken. You know, he was a Vezina candidate with the Colorado Avalanche. If you look at their defense core when he played with the Avalanche, it was spectacular. And that's no criticism to even the Kraken's level of defense. I think when it comes to something like that, I really do see it. And I just go, I think Grubauer is a very average, above average, but average skill level goaltender. And I think we've seen that every single year. I just don't think anybody's going to trade for him. Like to me, that's a non-starter. Like no other team is going to come over to the Kraken to Ron Francis and be like, we're this desperate for a goaltender. We're willing to trade a 7th round draft pick for Grubauer. Can you retain? Like to me, that just doesn't make sense. And I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that because I know the amount of support that Grubauer has. And like I said, I'm not a Grubauer hater. I'm a contract hater. But he just hasn't played up to that $5.9 million. Daccord, you know, I've been very, very happy with his performance, but he's also been making like what? I think it's like 1.2, 1.3 million. And the level that he's been playing at for that contract exceeds all expectations. Like, and that's just statistically based. You know, if he's, and I'd be exactly as critical against Daccord if as a $5 million player, if you're, you know, producing garbage, then you're going to get criticized. And I think that's kind of where I stand with this is that like right now, contract looks great if he performs how he did last season. If he doesn't, we're going to be in a world of struggle and a world of worry and a world of hurt.
I agree with that. What I was more so saying is that I feel like goalies are kind of up and down in the NHL. I mean, you've even seen UC Saros like literally fall off a cliff last year. But with the little track record that Daccord has, him having one really good season was able to secure him $5 million for 5 years. If Grubauer has a similar season or better this year, I'm wondering if teams around the league maybe are like, hey, maybe he has a good year in him with his history of having Vezina finalists in the past. But I don't consider you a Grubauer hater. I'm a Grubauer lover. I don't consider you a Grubauer hater. Okay, so you're good.
I'm just going to say one more thing before anybody else takes over because I know someone else might want to say something. But like if Grubauer has an exceptional season, I would say keep the two, like keep a tandem. Like if you have two solid goaltenders as a tandem like that, go ahead. I have no problem spending $10.9 million on two solid goaltenders, and that's just facts. Goaltending is one of the hardest positions in the league. If you have two solid, you know, number ones, then play that tandem role. We've seen it with how Boston did it. We've seen it with how other teams have done it. Like if that's the case, let it go.